Good morning, garden friends. Today we're going to be working over here on the arbor. As you guys know, this one was up in the secret garden and Kevin had built me a new one. So, as you know, I believe in recycle, reuse. And I thought this, having a climbing rose would be absolutely gorgeous leading into this other garden bed. So let me share with you the roses that I'm going to be planting in here, and I'm also incorporating a clematis, which I think is going to look beautiful. Okay, so the climbing rose that I am going to be planting on both sides of the arbor is called Golden Shower. Isn't that gorgeous? And let me give you some of the specs in regards to this. It's full sun, 6+ hours, which this area does get on a day-to-day basis, even in the off season. It has a light to strong fragrance, and then it blooms spring, summer, and fall, and will get 8 to 12 feet tall, so more than enough to engulf the arbor. And then the clematis that I'm going to go with is called Ernest Mark Ham. And this guy will also get 8 to 12 feet tall, bloom in early summer. So the rose will have its foundation, hopefully, and then it says full sun to part shade. You guys know I pushed the envelope, but my thought process is if the climbing rose is already gaining the height, it will act as a filter for the clematis. So I'm really excited to see that combination of the pink along with the magenta color of the clematis. So one of the things that I ended up doing, I have my own compost mixture because with any new rose, they recommend that you don't get potting soil that has granular fertilizer in it because it can end up burning, because especially with this being in the sun for 6+ hours here in Georgia, that will have the granulars heat up, which in turn can burn your rose roots, and I'm not looking for that to happen. But I do, which I'll do probably the following day or two, come back and fertilize it with my fish fertilizer, which is a liquid. And they recommend for that first year of growing your roses to use a liquid fertilizer. Now, the good thing about both the rose and the clematis, this is like the ideal time to get these guys planted, between January and March, which that will allow them time to get acclimated, to the soil. The roots start, to take. And right now, with us heading in to spring and us having projected relatively mild temperatures, this is just ideal for me to go ahead and get these guys planted. Plus, I'm an impatient gardener. I want to be able to see how, especially the rose end up taking, because this is a new brand of roses that I am working with. Okay, so what I did was on the bottom half of the box, I went ahead and put in some of the compost mixture in here. And this is the good thing about this. This is an open bottom container. So number one, I'm not going to have to worry about it overwatering because I do have the drainage for the box. And then to the fact that it's made out of wood. I think ends up, when we do end up having the colder weather, will act as an insulator. And thirdly, having the open box will allow the roots to go directly into the ground like it did up in the secret garden. So I'm gonna end up planting the rose in here. And what I want to do is have a good 6 to 7 inches from the top. That way, the rose is nicely stationary in the pot, and what it'll do is it'll allow the roots to be able to have room to expand. I think I'm going to get the rose set first and then put the clematis in here. So let's go ahead and get this planted up. Okay, so one of the things that they say in regards to this here part is called the bud union. So this is actually going to be covered, so that we make sure that it is properly set for the depth that it needs to be. So, and wow, look at those roots. Those roots on there are nice, and I got some new little shoots that's coming off. Oh, that looks like that broke off. All right, well, that's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get this in the ground. I like keeping the soil that it originally came in. Yeah, because when I fill this up, and I'll bring this over. Oh, looks like you can see it. Um, to where when I bring it up, um, that the ball will be um, covered. Make sure it's nice and stationary. All right, let me get the rest of the dirt on here. All right, go ahead and get this filled up. And then what'll end up doing is allowing me to still have room to put the mulch over top of it to keep it nicely insulated, and also for it to be able to retain moisture. And getting it nicely packed down, any air pockets that are in there. And now I'm going to get the clematis planted, sort of like on this end of the rose, closer to the arbor. Oh wow. Okay, so as you can see, nice root system, and then it already has growth on it. But this guy is going to go down 3 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and water this guy. Let me go get the hose. Now, because we want this to be a slow process, because a lot of times with, potting soil, it doesn't always take real, I just got to get that cleaned off. nicely watered. Because one of the things that they say, you know, now mind you, this is not potting soil, but for potting soil, you have to do it in stages to allow the potting soil to absorb the water. But because this is my own mixture of compost, I'm just gonna watch to see when it starts to come out at the bottom to let me know that it has been fully saturated. And then I'll be able to put some mulch on top of this, like I said, to help with retaining the moisture and then also protecting it, just in case we have, some cooler temperatures for a longer period of time. Okay, I'm seeing the water drain out here. And I'm probably going to just push it down just a little bit more just to make sure, no air pockets are in here. And then if I have to add a little bit more dirt to make sure that the ball is completely covered. That's one down, one more to go. I'll go ahead and get the other rose and the clematis planted, and then we'll just see how it does. Okay, so I got both of the roses and the clematis planted. I'm like really excited to see how this is going to turn out with the backdrop of the back beds and having the roses and clematis climb up this archway leading into this other garden. All right, guys, another garden project down. I am just like so excited to see how the roses and the clematis is going to grow up on the arbor. Well, thank you again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner, and I look forward to you checking out my next video.